Good evening. Good evening, everyone. We're going to call the meeting of Wednesday, March 27, 2019 of the San Francisco Democratic County Central Committee to order. My name is David Campos, and I'm the chair of the committee. We will begin by doing the roll call, and just to note for the roll call that our secretary is out today, Francis Shea. The roll call will be taken by Kelly Groff, and at some point in the meeting, we're going to amend the agenda to adjourn the meeting today in the memory of Francisco Shea, Francis Shea's father, which is a reason who just sadly, unfortunately, just passed away, and it's the reason that Francis is not here. So we are thinking of you, Francis, and your family. And with that, I'll turn it over to Kelly Groff for the roll call.
Member Alexander? Member Alioto? Member Morocco?
Here.
Member Bryan? Here. Member Campos? Member Chan? Member De Jesus? Member Dufty? Member Dufty? Member Fewer? Member Fewer? Member Galata?
Here.
Member Grosh here. Member Gupta? Member Tom Shea? Member Jung? Member Kim? Member Kim? Member Lacroix? Member Levitan? Member Levitan? Member Lowe? Member Lowe? Member Mahogany?
Here.
Member Mandelman? Member Mandelman? Member Maxwell? Here. Member Norton? Here. Member Souza? Here. Member Feinstein? Member Feinstein? Member Pelosi? Member Pelosi? Spear?
Here.
Kounalakis?
Present.
Member Ma?
Roxy.
Member Cohen? Member Weiner?
Here.
Member Tink? And Member Chu? Member Chu? All right, we have 21 members present.
Thank you very much. Just for the record, Member Pelosi is excused. We got a request earlier today. We will now move on to item number 2, which is the approval of the meeting agenda. And colleagues, you have the agenda before you, and I'd like to, I know that there's an effort to amend it in 2 ways. And one would be to remove item number 16 and bring that forward to the next meeting of the DCCC. And then the last one would be to adjourn in the memory of Francisco Shea. So with that, can I have a motion to do that? Motion by Weiner, second by Souza. Any comments, questions about that? If we can take that without objection. Without objection, the agenda is amended. With that, let's move now on the amended agenda. If we can have a motion to approve the amended agenda. So motion by Souza, seconded by Cohen. Without objection, the revised agenda is approved. We'll now move on to item number 3, which is the approval of meeting minutes from the meeting of February 27th, 2019. And just one point of information. We have a correction that will need to be made that was pointed out by the recording secretary. And so maybe I'm thinking that we'll bring this item back to the next meeting and we'll accept with that correction once it's made. We'll now move on to item number 4. And This is a very important part of the agenda, and for folks who are new to this meeting, the meeting is being live streamed. So we thank all of the San Francisco Democrats that are watching us at home or at work. And now we're going to move on to public comment. And this is the time when we have an opportunity to hear from our San Francisco Democrats, who are the reason that we're here. Today is a very packed agenda. We're going to have in the agenda presentations from various candidates who are running for chair of the California Democratic Party. Normally we give every speaker 2 minutes, but because of how packed the agenda is, and for the fear that we might lose a quorum, we're going to limit public comment to 1 minute. And again, I apologize for that, but that's really to make sure that we're able to complete the business of the agenda today. So for those of you who would like to speak, please fill out one of these speaker cards. And another point of information for item number 5, which is the presentation by candidates. Please use the speaker cards as well to write any questions that you want to ask of any of the 4 candidates that are appearing today. So if you want to ask a question of those candidates, please fill out one of these forms and give it to Han, who is right there. Just raise his hand so that we begin to prepare for that part of the agenda. So with that, I will call the first speaker, and if you can please line up as I call you in the middle, come up to the mic. Roxanne, Ben Grief, Christopher Milken, Mazine Malagab, Mugu, Mohammed Abdel Salam, Mohammed Sidamed, Susan Pfeiffer, Cheryl Thornton, and Brenda Barrows. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Roxanne, and I think it's important to point out that we have the entire transgender women contingent for the whole state and the party present in this room right now, all 2 of them. I think that should be embarrassing for the county. And my question to all the candidates is, what are you going to do to be more inclusive of trans women? I was in Sacramento. There's not one of us hired by any of the politicians in Sacramento, not one of us working for any legislature, not one of us working for a county party. So I'm trying to change that, and I'm running for vice chair of the Progressive Caucus. Thank you, and vote for Roxanne at the convention.
Thank you. The speakers, who is keeping the time? Who is it? Honey. Okay, so Member Mahogany has the time, so please make sure that you stay within your allotted time. Go ahead.
My name is Ben Grief. I'm the campaign director with Evolve California. We're a grassroots nonprofit organization based here in San Francisco. And tonight, our organization is asking this committee to pass a resolution in support of the California Schools and Local Communities Funding Act of 2020. This common sense reform will generate $11 billion a year back to our schools and public services in California. That's over $800 million for the city and county of San Francisco. 6 years ago, my organization asked this committee to pass a resolution in support of this idea. This committee did so, and because of that, we got many other central committees from across the state to support this initiative. And then we got the California Democratic Party for the first time in history to support this reform. So tonight I'm asking this committee to show their leadership again. I want to thank the chair as well as the corresponding secretary for their support and leadership on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm going to read a few more names. Ellen Lee Zhou, Zhao, I think Jordan Davis, Brent Turner.
Hi, I'm Christopher Micah. I'm representing myself, I'm also a member of DSA. I'm here in support of the resolution for rent relief for supportive housing. Many people in supportive housing are paying 50% of their income for housing. And I believe the resolution asks for 30% as opposed to kind of a fixed number. I would say this would be helpful for me. I pay almost 80% as I'm waiting for disability to kick in after almost coming up on 5 years. So this would be, I want to support the resolution for rent relief.
Thank you. Next speaker. And I have a couple more names. Maxine Dugan, Stephen Jaffe. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm just going to ask folks to, for just a moment, expand our awareness to something that's really important that's happening in the world today, and that's in Sudan. I'm here representing a group called United for Sudan, and we're basically asking for the support of everyone here in bringing some awareness to the things that are happening in Sudan. For 12 weeks, actually now we're coming on 13, there have been peaceful protests that have been met with live ammunition, that have been met with people being kidnapped randomly, and the news has not picked it up. And basically we're asking for the support of this platform to really bring some awareness, because we know that when the international community starts to notice things is when things can start to occur. So we have a very unique opportunity, I think, to make a really small act that could actually make a really huge difference by passing a resolution that for congressional review, basically just marking on the agenda of people who actually have power and influence that this is happening, and this can be a really, really important first step towards that. And maybe folks haven't heard about what's happening in Sudan, that would not be surprising.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Good afternoon. Actually, I'm Mohammed Sidamet. I'm also representing the Youth United for Sudan, the same as
If you can speak into the mic, thank you.
Yeah, I'm Mohammed Sidamet. I'm representing also Youth United for Sudan, the same as that Mazin just started. I want to say a few words. Despite the great international outcry, al-Bashir, who's been indicted by the International Criminal Court, and his security apparatus also continue to threaten more bloodshed as protests continue to demand justice and to end more than 30 years of tyrannical exploitation of Sudanese people. For human rights, almost more than 51 people, protesters, actually being killed, more than thousands have been detained. So for that reason, we really need your support. And if it wouldn't be by the Democratic Party of San Francisco, I don't know who will support us and rise up. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to read a few more names. Rachel Silverstein, Sarah Allen. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Mohammed Salam, and on the same note, we will be holding a protest this Saturday in order to help bring light to the causes of Sudan and all the injustices that have been happening by the corrupt regime. And we would like to cordially invite you guys to attend, and we'd love to have as many numbers as we can to try and help raise awareness and just basically try and bring light and call for the government to put an end to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Cheryl Thornton, and I am a member of SEIU 10-1. I've been a member for 28 years. I'm here in support of SEIU 10-1 and Local 21 and the resolution to support fair and equitable contracts for the city and county of San Francisco employees. As you know, there has been a lot of displacement in San Francisco with middle-class families, and we need them back here in San Francisco. So we do need to be paid fair wages so that we can remain here in San Francisco and be a contributor to the betterment of the city and county of San Francisco. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a couple more names. Larry Griffin, Kim Cavaglione, Gus Vallejo.
Hi, I'm Brenda Barros. I'm also with SEIU 1021, and I've been working for the city for 39 years. And what I want to say is that there is a huge problem with diversity and equity. We're taking that on in our bargaining. So we're going to be looking for support from everyone on the Department of Equity and following through on equity and making sure that is followed out. We don't want to have it again where it's not institutionalized to be fixed, because all the other things that have been tried are not working. African Americans are not being treated well who work for the city of San Francisco. That's a fact. Patients who are black and treated in our healthcare system are not being treated well in our system. That is a fact and documented. So this is very important. It's about our wages. It's about many of us are the same people I'm talking about, and we deserve a fair wage and we deserve a fair contract. We gave back to the city over and over and over again. Now it's time for us to get our return.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
I didn't hear when you called my name, but I did hear it, so I just butted in line, wherever was available. Susan Pfeiffer, I'm an e-board rep for the State Democratic Party from 8019 and a member of Democracy Action, Sweet Left, and various other groups. I want to thank the DCCC for putting my resolution on the agenda, my first time ever to have one, and it's an important issue. If you are in this room and you know someone who was not able to vote in the presidential primary in 2016 because they were registered as an independent, maybe a Bernie Sanders supporter, and they were angry, we need to fix that, and this is why. So it's a very important message we need to send out. One last request. I would like to know if we could add Henny Kelly on as a co-sponsor. She's asked.
Okay, great.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. We're going to read a few more names. Daniel Becker, Thea Selvey, John Seagrave. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Jordan Davis, and I'm here for the rent subsidies resolution. Thank you, Kelly, for putting that on. Basically, it's the end of the month right now, and people are struggling in the hotels right now. And I was online at Food Bank, and there's a lot of conversation about how much we pay in rent. And it's just a part of our conversation. And basically, I also sunshined the HSH and the rent rates, and it like so varied, and most of us are paying so much into our for rent, and it's just so gross and disgusting. It needs to all be 30%. Also, we need to require these SROs and keep them as permanently affordable. And I just hope that it doesn't end here. That we actually start to do this. We start to take the city should take this much more seriously. And yes, I'm looking at you, member viewer. And definitely, we need to support this. We need to get this out, and we need to rent relief for us because it's just driving us crazy. And it's 30 is enough.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Ellen Lee Zhao, and I am here on behalf of SEIU 1021, and also we are supporting Local 21. As you know, we have 30,000 public employees, and I have been working for our county for more than 15 years. I'm a social worker. I'm here to urge and ask the DCCC to think about that when you're running for office. Many of you, we supported you. Our union has 16,000 members. Now it's labor contract time, so please remember us and help us in any way that you can. We are united in the workforce, and as you all know, San Francisco, we only have one Democratic Party at City Hall. And I'm sorry, on behalf of myself, I am a Republican, but I'm not here for myself. Just in case you remember my face. I am running for mayor of San Francisco as a Republican. Thank you for tonight, and thank you for supporting us. And again, when you come to SEIU, we will support you. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Hello, Central Committee. My name is Brent Turner. I'm a delegate from AB 24. Just wanted to give an update regarding the San Francisco election system that this San Francisco Democratic Party has helped us with resolutions and such. We're hoping to have it completed by 2024. In the meantime, we're reaching out to the state, asking for matching funds, and there will be legislation, a bill moving forward. We appreciate your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we welcome Thea Selvey, who's an elected member of the Board of Trustees of City College. It's good to see you. Thank you. Go ahead.
And I want to first of all congratulate Tyra Fennell for her first day as Malia Cohen-Foxy. So I am here for two reasons. One, very heartfeltedly to ask us all as Democrats to have a race. We are having this race for chair of the Democratic Party. I want to make sure we come out of this better off than when we started, and that we do unify, that we do come together. And the second reason I'm here is to support my candidate, who is Kimberly Ellis. I know her very, very well. I believe she is a wonderful unifier, and I encourage all of you who do not know her to speak with her if you can and get a sense for who she is, what she stands for. This is not the last race. She is a unifier. She is a wonderful individual. She will change the Democratic Party for the better. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a couple more names, E.J. Bryant and Kristen Hardy. And again, to remind people that if you want to ask a question during the presentation from the candidates for chair, please fill out a speaker card and give it to Han with your question. Go ahead. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Stephen Jaffe. I have a lot of hats. The most relevant tonight is I'm president of the mighty South Beach District 6 Democratic Club. The last time there was a chair election, a lot of people thought that Kimberly Ellis actually won. Didn't work out that way, but now she's running again. I supported Kimberly the last time she ran. I am supporting her this time. She is the right person for the reasons that Thea just finished explaining. She's the right person at the right time. I urge you to endorse her candidacy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
My name is Rachel Silverstein. I'm here with DSA San Francisco. I'm here in support of the resolution for rent relief in support of housing. Any standard of living index that you can ever read anywhere says that you really should be paying 30% of your income towards rent. We know many people in the Bay Area are not. However, we don't have any control over those except for the ones in support of housing, in which case we can in fact help them have a more supportive environment, which is what they are in supportive housing for in the first place. So I would urge you to vote in favor of rent subsidies to help our neighbors in San Francisco. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Hello, everybody. I'm not a politician. I'm just a very concerned member of D1. I'm also an organizer with the Democratic Socialists of America. I'm here for the resolution for rent subsidies for supportive housing. I've been to too many city council meetings around people that are unhoused getting criminalized and not present at these meetings. Despite what capitalist politicians seem to believe, low-income and unhoused people are constituents and deserve to have a political voice. Roughly 70% of unhoused people were once SF renters. This allows us to be preventative and allow us to protect our community before they are evicted for not being able to afford rent. This also allows you to materially support our community by really offering them something. So I hope that you actually do something for people.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Hi, I'm Larry Griffin. I'm with IFPT Local 21. I'm the political vice president. I'm here to speak to you on resolution on number 8, the resolution for city workers. We're currently in bargaining with the city. If you remember when the recession hit back in 07-08, we ended up giving back 12 furlough days to the city, which we've never caught up on. Currently, we're about 9% back behind wages according to the CPI. I was on this infamous body back in the 70s, and going back to the 70s through the 80s, this committee always stood by labor, and we would hope that you would stand with us again. So I'm speaking on behalf of all public employees in San Francisco, specifically Local 21 and SEIU 10-1. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Gus Galeo. I'm president of IFPT Local 21, 20-year employee with the City and County of San Francisco. And more importantly, I'm one of the few, a native of San Francisco, and I've seen my city disappear. The city of my childhood is gone. It's been replaced by housing most of us can't afford, and really become a city of the rich and the very rich and the very poor. As the city's largest as the region's largest employer, the City and County of San Francisco has a responsibility to help build and maintain a vibrant middle class, which is why I'm speaking in favor of the resolution for a fair wage for our members. Also, I want to remind everyone that we're going to have a rally Thursday, April 11th, 4 to 6, at City Hall. It's a joint rally with SEIU 10-1 and IFP 21, and we invite everyone to join us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I do want to acknowledge our next speaker, Kim Tamaglione, who has played a very key role in the work of the San Francisco Democratic Party, because we have developed a very strong relationship with our labor partners, so it's good to see you. The floor is yours.
Kim Cavallone, Campaign Director, San Francisco Labor Council. When labor and the Democratic Party work together, we all, the working class, wins, which is why I'm here this evening. I'm here to talk about item number 8, the resolution by the Public Employees Committee of the San Francisco Labor Council. We're urging you to pass it without amendment and to make sure that the Democratic Party sends a loud and clear message that the working class of San Francisco is disappearing. It's time to stand up for these folks, these hardworking folks. This city is a mess. It would be a worse mess without our city employees who take care of everyone in this city somehow, some way. They get them to work, they get them home in the evening, they feed them in between, they do all sorts of things. So please remember labor and vote yes on number 8.
Thank you. Next speaker.
My name is Daniel. I'm a representative of SEIU 1021 at San Francisco General Hospital Miscellaneous Unit. I'm asking that you support our city workers, the people that actually make the city livable for working people. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Next.
Hello, my name is John Seagrave. I'm here on behalf of Local 21, Federation of Professional and Technical Engineers, to urge you to support your Proposition 8, your Proposal 8, to support labor in our bargaining. As Larry and Gus have already outlined, we've fallen behind in the last 8 years while the city has leapt ahead. I don't have anything in my bank account, but the city has hundreds of millions of dollars in surplus, and they're offering us a wage increase that doesn't even keep it with the standard of living. So if we can't afford to live here, there won't be anybody left to fight for racial and gender equity. So economic equity really has to come first. And the mayor is trying. She's saying, okay, hiring freeze, departments, cut your budgets. But what she can't touch is the personal service contracts and the consultants who get consistent wage increases above what the city employees are getting.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is EJ. I'm not here with any group. I'm just a local resident, and I'm here to support the resolution for rent relief. As it is no surprise to anyone here that rent is insane in the city, and this is one area where you have the power to affect change and improve people's lives in a substantial way.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Kristen Hardy. I am here with Local 1021. I am a shop steward, and as my brothers from Local 21, I am also a San Francisco native. I am a city and county worker at the General Trauma One. I also can't afford to stay in the city that I love and grew up in. My parents still live here. We are asking the Democratic Party and all of you supervisors to back us in our equity proposal so that we can get a sustainable wage that can help us stay in the city that we grew up in. I love working here because this is the environment that I grew up in. We're asking for all the support. We do have a rally on the 11th. Please come out and support a couple of supervisors. We know we always have our backing. We come to City Hall and we always know that you guys support us, so we're asking for support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Hello, Philadelphia. My name is Maxine Dugan. I'm with the Erotic Service Providers Union. And erotic service providers, anybody who earns their living from their erotic labor. You could be an adult film performer. You could be a prostitute like myself. I've worked as a prostitute for 33 years. I pretty much plan on working as a prostitute for another 32 more. Yeah, that deserves a plus. Anyway, I'm here to urge your support in favor of a resolution for SB 233. It's sponsored by Senator Scott Wiener, and what this bill does is it makes it that condoms cannot be used as evidence. You know, condoms are a safety device on our job, and we need it to not be criminalized. Also, what SB 233 does is it gives immunity for people who want to report when they're victims or witnesses to crime, so we won't be arrested for prostitution, so I urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi everybody, I'm happy to know who I am. My name is Sean Haynes. I got out of bed after some meetings to come and speak on 2 issues. I'm very happy that there's an issue to support rental subsidies. As a native of San Francisco, most of the people who are natives of San Francisco have felt the displacement. I've been displaced about 6 times and I needed a rental subsidy in order to survive and stay in San Francisco. So please vote in support of that. I'm also going to speak in support of my homegirl who's running for chair of the Democratic Party. I have been having the great pleasure of watching her run. Most of the times that I have seen her out there advocating and speaking, I'm like, you're kind of killing me softly and singing a song of my life, of the challenges that we face in the Democratic Party and the fundamental changes that we need to make not only this state better and our city better, but the rest of the country, because we have a lot of challenges that are holding people back. And I believe with a great, strong chair like Henrietta Ellis that will propagate waves of positivity across the country that will bring us in a great
Thank you very
direction.
much. I'm going to have a few more names: Alan Wong, Danny Young, and Kevin Ortiz.
Hi, I'm Alan Wong, and I'm an ADEM delegate. I wanted to thank all the candidates for chair for coming out here today, and also giving us the ADEM delegates the opportunity to learn about your candidacies and to hear about you. I'm here to speak in support of the resolution for labor in my capacity as a labor council delegate. The CPI has increased about 4.5%, while the increases in the past have ranged about 3% per year. And so this is something for workers in the city that's threatening our ability to live and work in the city. It's preventing us from providing public services, and we need to be able to continue to allow the working class to live and thrive in our city. And part of that is supporting labor and making sure that they have a chance to thrive in the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Danny Young. I'm here to support the resolution regarding the fair union wages and contracts currently under negotiations. I'm a city worker and also a city resident. My first job here with the city was when I was a high school intern working for PUC. I've since moved up in a career ladder and have moved to MTA now. I'm still finding it difficult to stay in the city even with my higher position. And I'm also here to represent about 1,000 workers in Local 21 at FPTE. I'm the elected chapter president of the admin analysts and personnel professionals, and I'm here to help represent them and their needs for more fair wages and a fair contract. And I urge you to support that resolution.
Thank you very much. And I think this is our last speaker, Kevin Ortiz, who, by the way, is also celebrating a birthday. So happy birthday, Kevin.
Thank you for that. Members of the DCCC, I just want to thank you for your time today and coming together. I want to speak on a couple different issues. First off, I want to speak on the issue of rental subsidies. It's atrocious that we have people that are living in supportive housing that are paying more than 50% in incomes. It's just unlivable, and especially like organizations like Tenderloin Housing Clinic, where they're supposed to be, these are our most low-income tenants, and they are not able to live. That for me is just, it's abhorrent. Second off, we need to give folks that have every intent to run as part of the Democratic Party the ability and the voice to do so. We have many folks that have been undocumented for a long time that have been doing the work for a long, long time. Sada Souza is a prime example of that. She's been part of this for a long time, longer than I have been. And it's really inspiring to see her now as the first DACA recipient on the board. And so we need to make sure that we have the opportunity for her and other folks can step up to do that. And I just want to thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Happy birthday. All right, that concludes public comment. Again, thank you everyone for coming out. I know that a lot of people, it's not easy to come here. A lot of folks work very long hours, and so we appreciate the fact that you took the time to speak to us. It's greatly appreciated. With that, we move on to item number 5, which is the presentation from candidates for chair of the California Democratic Party. And we actually invited all the candidates that are running, and we have 4 candidates that are here today. And we're going to ask them to speak in the order in which they're listed on the agenda. And that is Kimberly Ellis, Rusty Hicks, Taraka Laramore, and Michael Katz-Lecoq. And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to give each candidate 10 minutes. And that 10 minutes includes an opening statement, which can be up to 5 minutes, and at least 5 minutes of question and answer period. We cannot be here all night, and so we understand that people want to hear from these candidates. We want questions, not speeches from the audience, and also I would ask my colleagues on the committee who are also able to ask questions to do that. So with that, we're going to begin by welcoming all 4 of them. And the one thing that I would say, and I would ask people, because everyone has strong opinions about this race, is that even if you're supporting a different candidate, please be respectful of every candidate. Give them an opportunity to make their case. Please, don't hiss, just be respectful. At the end of the day, we're all Democrats, and whatever the outcome of this election, we want to make sure that whoever is chair is going to be someone that we can all get behind, is going to help to heal a lot of what's happened in this party. So with that, I will begin by asking the first candidate, Kimberly Ellis. And thank you for being here. And you have the timekeeper who will tell you have a total of 10 minutes, including up to 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening, San Francisco Democrats. It is an honor to be here. I'm grateful to be in conversation and community. I bring you greetings from the other side of the pond, the Bay Area. I am Kimberly Ellis, and I am again running to be the chair of our California Democratic Party. Many of you remember me from 2 years ago when I ran to be the chair of this party. That campaign was a platform that ran on building a party of the people, by the people, for the people. It was a campaign that talked about this party getting back to basics by reinvesting in people. It was a campaign that talked about us being a party that didn't just talk about our values, but lived our values in everything that we did. It was a campaign that talked about the importance of us as a party to invest more money, not in mail and in TV, but in community organizers all across this great state of California. It was a campaign that was a 2-year endeavor that took me to 50 out of 58 of the counties here in California. It was a campaign that inspired thousands, not just across the Golden State, but across this country. And even though we ended up winning about 70% of the elected delegation, as many of you know, the California Democratic Party has its version of an electoral college in the form of superdelegates, and we ended up losing by 57 votes. But that was then, and this is now. And today, I am running to be the next chair of our California Democratic Party with 4 priorities at the forefront. First and foremost is understanding and addressing directly and square on that we have a culture problem within the California Democratic Party. The very reason we are having a special election for chair is because our former chair resigned because of sexual abuse and sexual harassment allegations. And so I want to be very clear that it is important that we as Democrats very clearly define ourselves from the person who is currently occupying the White House. We need to define who we are, what we stand for, and what we are about. And that begins with having a chair who will set the tone, the tenor, and the direction for how we are expected to behave, not as Democrats, not just as Californians, but as human beings. And so I am here to say that one of the first orders of business is to ensure that those victims who suffered abuse are made whole to the extent that we are able to do so. We need to put the systems and processes in place to ensure that that kind of abuse never again happens in the name of our Democratic Party. So first and foremost, addressing the need for culture change within our party. It is something, unfortunately, that was not an anomaly. It is something that was going on for years. It is something that was going on not just at the state level, but at the local level. So we need to root that out from the very beginning. So first and foremost, culture change. Priority number 2, as you all know, we experienced incredible electoral gains in 2018, both legislatively and at the congressional level. I was just down in Orange County last night, and I can tell you that orange is indeed the new blue. Very, very excited about the wins down there. We need to ensure that those wins are not one-offs. We need to ensure that we hold on to those wins in 2020. And that means working together with the local state parties, but also with all of the on-the-ground organizing groups that were there. Groups like Swing Left, Sister District, Our Revolution, Indivisible, who really worked in collaboration to stitch together those wins. We need to encourage that kind of cooperation to hold on to those wins in 2020. Priority number 3, we need to ensure that the California Democratic Party has its house in order as we welcome in a presidential primary unlike any we've seen in at least a generation. We have moved up our primary to March, Super Tuesday, which means that people will be coming to California, not just for money. As many of you know, California has the reputation of being the ATM of the country. But this time they'll be coming to California not just for money, but for votes. It's incredibly important that the next chair of this party make it very clear that there will be a fair and level playing field for all presidential candidates that come to this state. We need to take the lessons of 2016 and understand that it is important that we put forth a party that will ensure that every presidential candidate that comes to this state will be treated with fairness, will have an equal opportunity to talk to our voters and campaign, and that there will be a level playing field for everyone. And so ensuring that kind of trust in our party is important. Finally, fourth and foremost, we need to ensure that we do our part to take back the White House in 2020. We have a lot of heft, a lot of muscle, and a lot of might here in California. We need to harness people, time, and money to help flip states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Florida to help deliver a Democrat back to the White House in 2020. So I'm looking forward to continuing the conversation over the coming weeks. The convention this year will be in the great city of San Francisco. Super excited about that. I look forward to serving as your chair, and I will yield now for questions.
We have, we're going to begin with a question from the audience, and then I'll turn to my colleagues. What plan will you have in place to outreach and get more monolingual communities involved in the democratic process? And that's a question from Queena from the Roseback Democratic Party.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for the question. You know, one of the things that we talked about on the last campaign was really opening this party up to the beautiful diversity that is California. If I'm being perfectly honest, I would say that this party has in so many ways not been as democratic as I think we need to be. That means first and foremost recognizing that we need to roll up our sleeves and be willing to meet people where they're at. That means communicating to people in a way and in a language that they understand. This party should have its website, should have all of its materials, should have community organizers, should have people on staff who can speak the various different languages of the people who live in the great state of California. You know, one of the things that we oftentimes forget is that California is a people of color majority state. The majority of people who live in the state of California are people of color. It is incredibly important that we start understanding that, acknowledging that, and respecting that. That means being able to communicate to all of the communities in California in the language that they understand and want to be communicated with. So I'm all for spending time, money, resources to ensure that we are communicating to people in the language and in a way that they want to be communicated to.
Thank you. And if we can ask Honey to stop the time when the question is asked, and so we'll add another 30 seconds so that you can. So I'll ask one of my colleagues, Member Galata.
Thank you, Kimberly, for being here. We've had record turnout in the ADEM elections throughout the state, which has been really exciting, but I think we've also recognized that the model is, we've really outgrown the model. The 2-hour window of time is really challenging when we have so much engagement. What are your thoughts as chair for how we can reform the ADEM process to make it more accessible and inclusive?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I've been traveling up and down this state over the past couple months, and I can tell you that there are 3 or 4 issues that continue to come up at every single stop, and one of them is reforming the ADEM elections. You have my pledge and my commitment that we will be reforming the ADEM elections in a way that really are democratic, that are transparent, that allow for the maximum number of people to be able to participate. This party needs to do a better job of communicating and educating the people about these elections in the first place. We need to work with our central committees and our parties to ensure that there are venues that are big enough to support the people who are coming out to vote. And we need to ensure that the candidates that we are encouraging and recruiting actually look like California. And so reforming the elections is incredibly important. You know, I shared this at the stop in the Inland Empire about a week ago, and that is the fact that the party, as it currently exists, was not built for the political reality that we are living in today. And so there are many parts of this party that we need to really look at reforming if we really want to build a 21st century Democratic Party that has value and is relevant in people's everyday lives. And that is my commitment as the next chair of this party. We will build that. We will start with ADEM reform and many other reforms that we need to bring to this party.
Thank you. Now we have another question from the audience. There is no name to this question. If elected, what will be your real efforts to end institutional racism?
How long do we have? Well, I think first and foremost, and again, this is, you know, we are sort of dusting off some of the things that we did last time around and bringing them right back and putting them squarely on the table. And one of the philosophies that we had the last time around was having the courage to facilitate difficult conversations and to tell hard truths. And the hard truth of the matter is there's a lot of work still to be done within the Democratic Party to make it democratic, to make sure that it reflects the beautiful diversity that isn't just California, but that is this country, making sure that our decision-making tables of leadership actually look like California, making sure that women, people of color, LGBTQ, our Native Americans, people who are living with disabilities, API, young people, making sure that these historically underrepresented and marginalized communities have a seat at our decision-making table. So I think one of the first things we can do to address institutional racism, sexism, ageism, ableism is to first and foremost admit that the problem still exists, and then making sure that as we move forward and we are building leadership, that we are being inclusive, not just talking about our values, but living our values. One of our philosophies on our campaign this time is don't talk, show.
Thank you very much. I think that concludes your time. Thank you very much for being here this is a personal observation, fabulous boots. The gay man in me had to say that. Okay, and so to make sure that people see, the candidates see the time, Han is going to be sitting right in front of you. So the next speaker comes from Southern California, so let's give him a warm welcome, Rusty Hicks.
Good evening, Democrats. I appreciate you giving a warm welcome to a guy from Southern California. I know it's hard for you. I hate to say it, but I do root for the Dodgers. I know that's hard to come into a crowd like this. I thought no booing, no hissing. I'm glad we got it all out of the way. But again, my name is Rusty Hicks. I'm a candidate that's running for chair of the California Democratic Party, and it's truly an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. I've been, much like my colleagues, we've been traveling up and down the state. I said I would do 58 counties. It sounded like a great idea. I said I'd do it in 58 days. Not such a great idea. It is a large and diverse state, and so it has taken a minute to get around the state. But this is 51 counties. I'll be finished April the 3rd, seeing all of California. It was great to hear the public comment focus so much on the labor movement and the struggles of working people here in San Francisco. In many ways, I feel at home when I hear that. My day job is as the president of the LA County Federation of Labor, where I have the honor to represent working people all across the county of Los Angeles. I've been there for the past 12 years as the president and the political director. In many ways, it's somewhat ironic that I'm the head of one of the most diverse labor movements in the country, because no one in my family ever had the opportunity to be in a union. I was raised by a single mother who was a bookkeeper in Texas, so I never had I know, there's some booing and hissing coming again, I know it. I got here as fast as I could. I say Texas is a good place to be from. But in many ways, we never had that opportunity. And so it's something that I have carried with me for the better part of 25 years. And also, my father was never in the picture. I had the experience of understanding what our criminal justice system does to individuals, but also does to families when it separates people in many ways. I met my father for the first time when I was 11, and he was in Huntsville State Penitentiary in Texas. And I remember carrying with me that day, feeling really powerless to do anything about that situation that we really found ourselves in. Some 25 years later, when we built a program for formerly incarcerated women and men to transition them into good union construction jobs. And today there's more than 100 formerly incarcerated folks that are on a construction site and on a pathway to a good union career. And I think that part of my own experience and part of our movement really speaks to when I think we are all at our best, and when we are a part of institutions and movements that are of the many, not just the lucky chosen few. And that's the philosophy that we brought to the labor movement in Los Angeles, in our organizing, in our politics, in the way in which our decisions are being made. And that's where I have gained my skill set, is in the trenches of the labor movement, representing working people, understanding that we don't always see the world in the same way, and yet we can still move an organization forward, we can move a movement forward, and do it in relative peace. Doesn't mean we don't disagree from time to time, and that's okay. We can disagree without getting disagreeable. I believe that we can have a real robust debate without compromising our core values, and I think the next chair has to bring that philosophy to the party. One, to address, as my sister said, to address why we're having a chair's race to begin with. It is absolutely the number one thing the next chair has to address, not only in that culture change, but in a systems change. Whether you're a volunteer, a delegate, an employee, or a leader, you should feel safe in engaging with the party. And I believe we have to ensure that the rules are clear, that everybody knows what those rules are, that we have a clear process by which you can lodge a complaint, that it's going to be investigated and that's going to be dealt with appropriately and promptly. Because we've got plenty of work to do, not the least of which is 2020, when we can move from resisting Trump to replacing Trump. We've gotten pretty good at resisting. It's time to replace. I think we've had enough of this craziness out of the White House. But we can only get behind one nominee if, in fact, we have a level playing field for 17, 18, 20 candidates. I understand there's a couple of people that are going to be filing for president in this room, running for president. There's a few folks that are running. I've made it clear that I will not endorse a candidate for president prior to the party actually doing so. Not that my endorsement means anything, but it sets the tone for what kind of process we will have within our party. And then lastly is really to get ready for not only 20, but 2022, when many of the pickups that we had in 2018 are truly going to be tested. And so I think it's helping to build out the infrastructure for the state, and I look forward to continuing the conversation with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And we're going to go to a question from someone from the audience, from Venetia Margarita, who from the Latino Democratic Club, who wants you to speak on extending Democratic Party membership to non-citizens.
I support that. I support it in the sense that an understanding that the way in which Los Angeles has been changed has been because of Latino communities and union members that came together to change the face of Los Angeles. Today, Los Angeles is viewed as solidly blue. Well, some 30 years ago, it was deep red. And it took those two communities coming together to change Los Angeles. And it wasn't always because members of the Latino community could cast a vote. It's because they came off the job, they knocked on doors, they made phone calls, they had face-to-face communication that actually resulted in the change that we see today. So we've begun looking at how do we make changes within our governance structures within the city. I know that in the north part of the state, we've been looking at ways in which you can ensure that undocumented residents have a say in their government. I think we should give them a say in our party as well.
Thank you very much. And again, we'll stop the clock for the next question from one of our members, Sarah Souza.
I'm glad you support extending full membership to non-citizens. And my question is, what's your plan to making the Democratic Party more inclusive and equitable to all people of color?
Well, first, I think we talked about the ADEMS process earlier, and it's been talked about up and down the state. I think we view it today as a way in which we elect part of the party to elect delegates. I think we have to view it as an engagement opportunity for the party. Instead of 40,000 people showing up for 2 hours over 2 weekends, how do we have 100,000 people show up? How do we ensure that 200,000 people show up? How do we build a system that actually meets that need and speaks to all communities across the state? Is there a possibility to expand the size of the Democratic State Central Committee to allow for more representation? How are we actually leading on issues that impact communities of color? How do we ensure that there are more communities of color that are in the leadership of committees, of standing committees, of caucuses, of even within the structure of the party, the leadership structure of the party, the chair, the vice chair, the controller, and the secretary, 5 positions to represent 9 million Democrats across the state? I could make an argument for, a very good argument for an expansion of that to create more opportunities for leaders to be a part of the structure of the party. Thank you.
We want to save some of the public questions for some of the other candidates as well. So any other member of the DCCC who has a question? Again, we're pausing the clock.
Any hard questions? Really hard questions?
Yes, member Wiener by proxy.
Can you tell me a little bit about the organizing?
Polite.
I'm from San Francisco. I haven't met you before, but I hear that you're a great organizer. Tell me about what you've done in the past in organizing the party, and your labor organizing that was successful. Why we should make you the chair?
Sure. Well, I have I've grown up under great leadership. My predecessor was Maria Elena Durazo, who is now a state senator. Had been in the trenches of the farm workers and the hotel workers organizing and brought that philosophy to the LA Fed, and I worked with her for the better part of 8 or 9 years. And I believe in organizing one by one by one. And I bring that philosophy to the party. Bring the philosophy of an organizing a campaign through grassroots leadership to change also the minimum wage in Los Angeles, to have strong wage enforcement provisions, to give more workers who don't have the benefit of a union the opportunity to have a collective voice on the job, even if they don't have a union. And I think we have many cases in which labor law simply does not work for those folks, and therefore a creative alternative vehicle to allow them to organize is what's important. I think the way in which we bring that to the party is the way in which the chair builds out the infrastructure for the state to actually support county committees and Democratic clubs and grassroots activists and organizations that have popped up over the past 2 years, Swing Left, Indivisible, and others. We should embrace that, organize that, bring that into the party, and frankly use that energy to re-energize the party. But I believe organizing is fairly simple in the ways of simply understanding where people are at, trying to get them to a certain place, but not jamming them to get there, moving them through a continuum that gets them there. And I think we can do that with county committees. I think we can do that with grassroots activists. I think we can do that with all parts of our party.
Great. How much time do we have? So I just have a quick question, and maybe for those of us who are from here, Northern California, or a Southern Cal person, how do we? Any thoughts on making sure that people from up north know that even though you're from LA, that you're going to work with us and you're going to make Northern California a priority?
Well, I would say I'm traveling the state specifically not to win an election, to be able to do the job. You know, my focus, my activism, my leadership has been in Los Angeles. It's where my roots have been. But I am traveling the state to build the relationships, the infrastructure to be able to do the job. You can't win without the Bay Area. You can't win without LA. What we need to focus on, many times we think north and south. I think many times we have to think about urban and rural. Because much of the growth we have in this state is really in rural parts of the state. And it's what can we get out of LA, the Bay Area, and San Francisco specifically in order to support that to make all of our state move.
Well, thank you. Let's give Rusty a big hand. Thank you very much for visiting us. Thank you very much. And now our next speaker is Taraka Larimore Hall, who is the second vice chair of the California Democratic Party. Once again, welcome to San Francisco. You have 10 minutes with up to 5 minutes for an introductory statement. Thank you.
How's everybody doing today? Okay, are you bored with all candidates yet? My name is Taraka Larimore Hall. My pronouns are he, him, his. And I'm an activist. I'm a grassroots organizer. And I was raised in a political household to believe that everything important and everything good that's been achieved in American history and in world history has been a bottom-up effort by people seizing power and seizing the initiative to change their community and change their country. You know, we're sitting in the richest state in the Union, a state that we often brag would be the 5th largest economy in the world if we were an independent country. And yet, we rank down around 45th when it comes to income and wealth equality between all of the states in the Union. My values and my analysis of the world is that great wealth and great poverty often go hand in hand because they're structurally related. And everything that I do in politics is about attacking those relationships, undermining them, empowering people to make their community and this country more equal and more just. Because especially when you start to add the intersections of oppression in this country, on top of that economic inequality, that's when things get deadly for people of color, for women, for trans people, for queer folks. And we have an obligation as a party to live up to the expectations that all of those constituencies have that we're going to be on their side. So I've spent the last 15 years of my life trying to build two things, the labor movement and the Democratic Party. I've worked as a grassroots activist at the club level, joining my central committee, and as a young Dem becoming chair of the Santa Barbara County Democratic Party. At the same time, I joined my union, and as a rank-and-file activist, I became president of a union representing 12,000 academic employees throughout the UC system. Served on the CDP Labor Caucus as vice chair, and served on my own CLC. Because I believe that it's the labor movement fighting it out in the workplaces and the Democratic Party fighting it out at the ballot box that is the best hope for reversing these trends in this country that have created the largest levels of inequality in this nation's history. So everything I've done has been about strengthening the party. And what do I mean by that? I actually really love this thing, this like crazy, chaotic thing that we all devote so much time and energy to. And I love it because of how important a strong Democratic Party is to democracy, real small d democracy in this country. Now think about it. Most people, they watch TV, they see politicians, they vote for one of the politicians they see on TV, and that's about it. Some other folks, they might get involved and knock on doors. But where are the opportunities for regular people to actually engage as volunteers and shape the debate? This is one of those opportunities, this party. We can come here and debate what it means to be a Democrat. That's what we do when we decide on endorsements. That's what we do when we decide what's in our platform. That's what we do when we decide our position on ballot measures. I love that process. My very first convention, I was so ecstatic to see this floor debate about a ballot measure and see waiting to speak behind the microphones a state senator on one side, a trade union leader on the other side, a retired activist and a student, all mixing it up, fighting over what it means to be a Democrat. We do that work so that when a voter looks at a ballot or gets a piece of mail and it says, this is the position of the Democratic Party, they can trust that that position is going to be on their side. That's what we do in this party. So I'm running on a platform. I hope you'll take a chance to check it out. It's at DeRocca4CDPchair.com. I have an extensive set of proposals for top to bottom reform in this party, starting, of course, with the huge priority that we have and moral obligation that we have to ensure that this party is a safe, welcoming, and humane space for everyone who walks through our doors. But all of it can really be summed up with this. As an activist, what I want is a party that a regular person can interface with us, whether that's by looking us up on the web or making a phone call to an office, and get one-stop shopping for them to effect change in their neighborhood, in their state, and in their country. It's got to start from the activist, from fixing a completely overwhelmingly broken and impossible to follow website, right? To reorganizing our coordinated campaigns so that we make sure that we're including all of our down-ticket races. We have done a great job as a state electing Democrats in Sacramento. We've done a great job in kicking out reactionary Republicans and replacing them with Democrats. I'm wrapping up. At the national level. As secretary, I started a process of doing an investigation into how we're doing at the local level. Democrats underperform at the local level. That means Republicans deciding on housing policy, Republicans deciding on what to do with open space, Republicans deciding on people's pensions, and huge detriments to people's lives. We have to win at every single level. Yes?
Thank you. So we're going to turn into questions. First, we're going to take a question from the audience. This is a question from Diane Lee from the California Young Democrats. It's a question for you. After the resignation of Chair Baumann, it caused a rift between the California Democratic Party and the California Young Democrats as our members were victims. How do you plan to improve on this relationship?
So I think the first and most important thing is that we have to improve these absolutely inadequate processes we have for protecting people. You know, right now, the only mechanism that people have for facing someone who's harassed them or assaulted them is to file charges that eventually are voted on by the executive board. That's like 300 politicos, right? So if you have something that's happened to you that's traumatic, your recourse is to publicly have to defend that and convince a bunch of people, many of whom are appointed by the very officer that you might be charging with an offense. So the most important thing, I think, is initiating an aggressive set of reforms, listening to experts both inside and outside of the party about best practices for keeping people safe. The second thing is that I think that we all should sign a code of conduct. This is another reform that's in my proposal, that we can use to hold one another accountable, because a lot of the abuse that goes on in this party, the bullying, the threatening, and so forth, isn't just from the sort of upper echelons down. It's also between activists, between members, between club members and club leaders. So we need to be able to have systems in which we hold one another accountable for recognizing each other's humanity and treating people humanely. And then in terms of the overall political relationship between CYD and the Democratic Party, the model that I go back to is the model that I helped build in Santa Barbara as the county chair. And our Young Democrats actually, every election cycle, set the record, win the prize for the most young people signed up to vote and the most young people turned out. That's because our approach to building youth leadership has been to give them the tools to do peer-to-peer organizing on their issues in their communities and basically just stepping the heck away and letting them lead. As chair, that will be my relationship with CYD, giving them the space and resources within the party and among our electeds to move a political agenda. At the end of the day, we're all here for the issues. And I want to create more spaces and more opportunities for regular people to move their issues in the party, including young folks.
Thank you. And we have a question from one of our members, Member Roth.
Thank you. You kind of addressed this in your earlier answer, but I just wanted to bring to light that statements have been made publicly alleging that you engaged in coercive behavior relating to a witness in a lawsuit against the party involving sexual assault case. And I just wanted you to respond to these allegations, considering that they're leveled against you, and how you can stand by your allyship of women and survivors of sexual abuse and assault.
So, in November at eBoard, I was approached by a staff member of CDP who said that a number of CDP staff, young staff, had really horrific experiences and stories about abuse at the hands of Chairman Bowman. She asked if they could contact me, and over the next few days, a whole number of them did. And it was talking with them and working with them that informed my decision to file charges against Eric and to help them to facilitate them talking to the media to tell their own story. All through that process, my priority was making the space and giving support for victims and survivors telling their own story. In the course of that, one of the victims of Eric asked me for advice or help on an issue she was having with the internal investigation in the party of her claims, and the choice of which legal firm that they hired, that the CDP hired to do that investigation, a firm that had been involved in a previous case of hers, and she felt very triggered by them hiring the same folks. I gave, honestly, what I felt was the best advice I could to her, which was to speak with her attorney and to include that in her complaints in that process. I've now learned that the way that came off as me dismissing her complaint, which really, just honestly, was not my intent at all. There are still a bunch of victims who haven't come forward. I'm trying to honor their anonymity and their stories, while also being transparent about my own actions. But the bottom line is, I was being pressured by, or influenced by, a whole number of contradictory pressures. First and foremost, my real priority was putting the victims' voices first. But I also, as an officer of the organization, had fiduciary responsibilities, and this was in the midst. Can I just finish? Yeah, and this was in the middle of a deep division and factional warfare going on in the party. I wanted to protect this process from all of that. I did my best, as not an attorney, as a human being, listening to folks, trying to navigate all of that. If I've made mistakes, I'm only human. But my commitment and my priority and my intent was always to protect them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. If we can give Daraka a big round of applause. Thank you for putting that with me. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. And then our last candidate is Michael Katz-Lacave, I don't know how to pronounce it, Lacave. So, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, San Francisco Democrats. My name is Mike Katz-Lacave. I am from the East Bay in San Leandro, where I've served on the school board for 2 terms and have been a delegate as well. So I am running because I believe the California Democratic Party is in crisis. I think we all recognize that amid the resignation of the most recent chair under serious allegations. And you just heard about the allegations about another member of the party. The party's in a moral crisis. The party should be organizing voters to work for social, racial, economic, gender, and environmental justice, as well as universal human rights, electing candidates who represent those values. But instead, we are trying to fix things, and as one person described it, try to learn how to be human to each other and treat each other with kindness and respect. So, what is the party doing? One of the reasons I'm running is the party is helping corporations and other special interests maintain and increase their influence in Sacramento by serving as a conduit for campaign contributions, decreasing transparency and making contribution limits essentially meaningless. Not to mention that even here in progressive San Francisco, its senator reported $59,000 in gifts last year. The Democratic Party helps to maintain the status quo through automatic endorsements. of incumbents and rules that permit elected officials to use campaign contributions to fund the election of delegates that extend their own power instead of activists and members of the party. The party continues this loss of trust in democracy by not being completely democratic. We can do better. As chair, I want to work to reform the party from the inside. I will appoint members to the Rules Committee who are committed to make these changes, among others. 1, eliminate automatic endorsements. Each time someone comes to us for an endorsement, they should earn it. They should prove how they have adhered to the party platform and demonstrated their commitment to our principles. We should make elected officials who make financial contributions to the assembly delegate race or central committee candidates or slates of candidates ineligible for the party's endorsement. They have enough power. They were elected. We should limit delegate appointments from ex officio members to 2 and eliminate the delegate premium enjoyed by the leaders of the California Congressional Delegation, Speaker of the Assembly, and the President Pro Tem. That is essentially getting rid of our equivalent of superdelegates. We should democratize committee appointments by dividing the appointment responsibilities among the party officers, caucus chairs, and chairs of the statewide chartered organizations. We should make any delegate who has financial interest in the actions of the California Democratic Party ineligible to become or continue to be an officer of the party or a member of the e-board. I will also commit to stopping the practice of accepting contributions earmarked for specific candidates and of introducing candidates to corporate lobbyists and their contributors. Make the finances of the Democratic Party transparent and provide detailed quarterly financial reports to the membership. The activists and members of this party who support this party and do the hard work of the party deserve that. And I will strongly advocate both publicly and privately for our representatives to adopt progressive policies such as single-payer health care. It is, after all, in the platform. Free 4-year college tuition, the elimination of the Police Officers' Bill of Rights, real restrictions on mass surveillance and police militarization, strong environmental measures, and the adoption of the California Green New Deal. We have the country's most progressive platform. Let's hold our candidates accountable to it and put it into action. I also support the creation of an ombudsman position for staffers, delegates, and others within the party. And I hate to say this, but apparently we need ethics workshops as well, and perhaps making them mandatory for candidates for officer positions. I specifically will commit to ending politics as usual within the California Democratic Party, acting with integrity, and becoming a model of what the Democratic Party should be and strives to be. I look forward to working with all of you towards these goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to go on to our first question from one of the audience members, Roxanne. What is your position on welcoming the people of indivisible, swing left groups, etc., to our party?
We are only stronger together. We are capable of doing more. We'll have a stronger voice. I wholly support bringing those people into the Democratic Party and making us a more activist and grassroots party. I think the grassroots are what is going to get people out to vote. We saw that in 2018. We'll see that again, hopefully, in 2020.
Great, thank you. We'll open it up to any of our members who might have a question. No question? We have another question from an audience, from a member of the public, from Allison Collins, who is actually an elected member of the San Francisco Board of Education. Welcome. What is your stance on charter schools? How will you work to support candidates fighting school privatization?
So I support getting rid of charter schools. Let's start with a moratorium and then work to get rid of them completely. I believe that we are all served better when everybody attends a public school. I think that's part of some of the inequality problems that we suffer. I think that public schools suffer when charter schools come in. And I will definitely work to support candidates who support that same position as well, and work with party activists to make sure that continues to be the case.
Great. Any other questions from my colleagues? Member De Jesus.
So with that in mind, we have a resolution in front of us today regarding California School Local Communities Funding Act of 2020, and that's part of it is to establish regular fair assessment of commercial and industrial property to market value while protecting and maintaining small businesses and maintaining Prop 13. What's your position on that?
I don't know the specifics of what you're talking about, but generally, I support fair taxation such that corporations and other interests fairly pay into the system to fully fund our schools. I think for too long, corporations, in particular with Prop 13, have been spared paying their fair share of taxes, and that has hurt our educational system overall. After all, California used to offer free college tuition, 4-year college tuition, and I think we can do that again.
Great. I don't see any more questions, so thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you.
Give Mike a big round of applause. And thank you again to all the candidates for coming to San Francisco Democratic Party. And in terms of moving forward, just as a point of information, the last time we had an election, the San Francisco Democratic County Central Committee did not take a position, actually, on the chair. But if there is a desire for that to happen, we will schedule that on the agenda for the next meeting in April. And so please stay tuned, and we will keep you informed. But again, thank you for the candidates who came. So with that, we will now move to item number 6, which is reports. And I just want to say, if we can move this quickly, because we have a very long agenda with very important and substantive issues that we have to address. So I'll begin with my report to note that we had a very successful fundraising event a couple of weeks ago. And I think a number of you were there, and we raised a pretty significant amount of money to help the work of reaching out to voters, organizing. And one of the things that we have done in an effort to fund the work of this party is that we have recurring donations set up at the front. So I know that I'm going to sign up to be a recurring donor. So those of us who are in the Central Committee, I would encourage all of our members, proxies of the committee, to think about becoming a recurring donor. And to those of you who are in the audience who are watching, please consider doing that. This is the time to make an investment in your local Democratic Party, because for us to take back our country, we need to do well in San Francisco, and we need to do in San Francisco what we did last time with Red to Blue SF, which requires donations from individual contributors. So please consider doing that. And then the last thing that I would say is simply that we're working hard to prepare for the Democratic Convention. We had a gathering just a couple of days ago to provide information that our regional director headed for delegates. And we are right now working on a space for a party that we will be hosting for the delegates. So we will keep you posted, and I want to thank Han for all the work he's done to make that happen. So, Petra de Jesus?
It's really fast. I mean, I also am going to make a recurring donation, and I think we've talked about that. You call it a pledge, recurring donation, whatever we want to call it. But going into 2020, we do need the money, and it would really be important for all of us who sit as members to contribute whatever we can on a monthly basis to keep this party going. Thanks. It's really.
Thank you. Member Baraka, voter registration.
Just to make things quick, I would like to always thank Susan Pfeiffer for all of her volunteerism and making sure that we get our voters registered. And yes, very much in order. And I would also like to encourage anyone who's interested in helping out with voter registration. As the weather gets a little better and the rain clears, we'll be out there in full force. We've also trying to work on improving our online voter registrations, so we're doing the work to get that done as well. So thank you very much, and if you'd like to help volunteer, please see me after the meeting. I'd be more than happy to get you my contact information. Thank you.
Thank you. Club Chartering, Member Gupta.
Thank you, Chair Campos. There are no recent clubs that have approached me yet to be chartered. There are a couple people who've been talking about it, so we maybe will follow up at future meetings. We have sent out a request to all club memberships to volunteer for the convention. As has been mentioned, it's the first time in many years that the convention will be held in San Francisco. So we encourage you all in your clubs to encourage your memberships to sign up to volunteer at the convention.
Thank you. And Outreach, Member Lacroix.
Hello, hello. It was great to hear from all of the candidates today. So I recently sent out an email to members of the Outreach Committee with a doodle poll link to schedule our meeting in April. So I look forward to hearing everyone's shared availability. If you're interested in attending that meeting, let me know and I can share that doodle poll with you as well. I also am committed to registering myself for recurring donations to the party.
Thank you very much. And now our treasurer, Member Alexander.
Thank you. So on the right hand of your packet, you have an expense sheet that looks like this. Federal cash on hand is $2,484.59. The total state cash on hand is $32,060.19. We are still operating on last year's money, so I just want to emphasize, as you look at this report, the top two boxes, total net income is a lot less than total expense for both the federal and the state account. The reason we're not negative is because of money held over from last year, so double up on the fundraising goals. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Partnerships, Member Maxwell.
Thank you. We are planning a session with all of the groups that are so-called resistance groups right now, Swing Left and the rest of them, to talk about the upcoming convention, what they'd like to see. Penny Kelly has volunteered to help us to talk about how it really works so that they understand that. Right now, we're looking at April or maybe early May. We're still working on getting a place, and the Communications Committee is going to be working with us to help coordinate.
Thank you very much. Now, our committees have been actually doing a lot of work in the last few weeks, so we'll begin with our Convention Planning Committee, Member Sousa.
Hi, good evening. We already have 2 meetings, and we have accomplished a lot. But my message to you today is that we are still working on event sponsorships, community outreach, and ensuring that we have enough funding to pay for swags and event costs. So we really need your help with volunteer recruitment, event sponsorships, and promoting our events in communities in the Bayview, Mission Districts, and other communities. Also, I want to add that we have a vendor for the bags, for the tote bags. I reached out to Homey, and they offered us a great deal. So if you like to sponsor those bags, we welcome your support. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So that's in the works. We're still not sure if that's still doable, but the main thing here is that you want to see the San Francisco Democratic Party logo all over the convention. So stay tuned. Okay, so Elizabeth, I think if we can go back to the treasurer's report.
Okay, I guess I'm a little confused because we had this conversation. So this is actually February's report. Total federal cash on hand is, $12,587.63 because the $10,000 represents last month's fundraiser. So apologies for that. This got printed out wrong. We will submit that by email to everybody.
And again,
But the state account is the same.
we have been working on increasing our federal funds, so please help us keep doing as well as we're doing. Another committee that has been doing a lot of work is communications, and I'll turn it over to Member Galata. I know that other folks like Member Groff have also been involved.
Thanks, Chair Campos. So we have been working on building out the party's collateral in anticipation of the upcoming convention and also just upcoming outreach events. We're working on getting some new pop-up banners. We're working on a palm card that we can hand out at future voter registration drives and also at the convention that talks about who we are as a party. And I want to thank Member Groth for her design work. It's great when we can do in-house design. So thank you so much, Kelly. In other exciting news, we are back on Instagram for all of you social media fans out there. We're already on Facebook and Twitter, so follow us on Instagram at SF Democrats. We're going to be pushing out more content. You can take a break from looking at cute kittens and get your political fix by following us. Lastly, we are still working on, I'm very excited about this, our update to our website. And we are a few weeks away from unveiling our brand new website. We're going to keep everybody posted on announcing the new site. We'll probably have a special event or some sort of launch, but we're very excited about creating a better portal for San Francisco Democrats.
Thank you very much. And now internships, Member Gupta.
Thank you. So to date, we have 12 applications for our internship. The applications close this Sunday, March 31st at 5 o'clock. So hopefully, no one's procrastinating, but we welcome any other applications, and please encourage anyone else you know. The application's online. You can ask myself or Han if you have any other questions. And then I will be reaching out to the internship committee to review those applications and interview the individuals, and we should have an update soon regarding our summer internship.
Thank you. So all of the young people out there who are watching, who are here, if you haven't applied, please, we need you. This is the time. And yes, spread the word. Now we're going to hear from our executive director, Han Zhu, who's been pretty busy in the last few weeks.
Thank you. I'll keep it short for some upcoming events. This Sunday, we have Sunday Streets in Excelsior. We're going to have a tent, and we're looking for volunteers to help us with that. So if you are free, please message me. I'll be from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. around that time. And then as well for the convention, we do also need our own volunteers. So the state party, we sent out the link to recruit for that. But we're going to have a booth. We're going to have a party that Saturday night, as well as a lot of other things. So we're looking to recruit 70 to 80 volunteers for shifts throughout that weekend. So please, we're going to send out a volunteer sign-up link soon. Sarah and I are going to work on that. And finally, I just want to echo the recurring donations up front. You set it up so monthly, it's an automatic amount. Even if we just get 50 people to donate $20 a month, that's $1,000 a month right there. So it really adds up. So please sign up front before you leave. Thank you.
Thank you, Han. Thank you for all staying on top of everything we're doing. And now our regional director, Annie Kelly. Who, by the way, had a very informative, educational presentation on what it means to be a delegate, which kind of turned into kind of a stand-up routine too.
If you can't laugh and you have to go to the Democratic convention, you're going to have one really bad time. You got to keep your sense of humor. So basically, what I'd like to go over with you and tell you about is that we will have a Region 6 meeting. We have set up the time for it. I am absolutely available if any club or any of you want to go over really what a convention is like. I can do that for your club, for the clubs. I can do that for any organization you have. I think the more you know about what you're facing at a convention and how this convention runs, because basically It is really jam-packed this time. So that's about it. I want to thank the people that came. It was really nice. I am going to do, as I said, one Region 6 meeting specifically in the city. I may do another one in San Mateo County to make it easier for people to come. And I did send out to all delegates how to do a resolution, because that's important. And this is for a warning to everybody who is a delegate. I take roll on Sunday. What? I take roll on Sunday. I want you all to stay. Sunday is when we might have a runoff. Sunday is when we have all the resolutions come up. And I would like to see the Region 6 section full. And not only that, because we can make a difference. Our vote is important, and I really have gone on record as talking to other people about this. Region 6 usually does have most of the seats filled on Sunday, but we ain't got no excuse this time, because it's in our city. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and that is one of the benefits of hosting the convention in San Francisco, that we do get that home turf advantage, if you will, especially that last day. With that, we will move on to item number 7, which is a resolution calling on the Secretary of State to increase awareness of the voting rules for no party preference NPP voters during the 2020 Democratic primary, and that is a resolution introduced by Member Baraka and Galap.
Thank you, Chair. I would like for this particular resolution to be discussed by Susan Pfeiffer, but there is just one minor correction. The correction is, instead of saying has declined by 4%, it would be declined by about 4 percentage points.
Great. So we have a motion to amend along those lines. We have a motion by Baraka, second by Senator Wiener. Can we take that motion to amend without objection? Without objection, Susan Pfeiffer, the floor is yours.
I'll try to be brief, which goes against my personality, but I will try. The reason I brought this up, it's not a new issue, but it really came to a head in 2016 because of the fight for the primary between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. And while I was a Hillary supporter, I saw a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters who were independents, no party preference registration, who did not get the letter and the card that was sent out by the Secretary of State. There was one letter and one card sent out to send it back. With the explosion of vote by mail in the state, those are the people that this affects. If you vote by mail and you're no party preference, you will not get a primary ballot in the mail unless you register for a party or are able to tell the Secretary of State which one to send you, which can be chancy. So I'm finding people don't know about this. And one of the other issues is the motor voter law. Anyone who is registered to vote by the DMV is registered as a no party preference. So going back to 2016, I saw a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters who didn't know about this and were not able to vote in the primary, and they blamed the Democratic Party. I can understand their anger, but I don't want to see that happen to anyone again at this time. So we need to start getting the word out to these people to make sure they know in plenty of time. I also think it's an opportunity for us. We registered a lot of new voters for the 2018 election, and there was no emphasis on what party they registered for. A lot of new voters, particularly new citizens, I notice, are not sure, so they put no party preference. So we need to be reaching out to them first, and and that can fill in that gap before we start working on the presidential campaign. To inform them, I think that's a positive for the party if we're the party of information, and allow them to re-register. It also builds the Democratic Party. It gives us new cell phones and addresses that we can canvass, knock on doors, and call them when it comes time for the elections. I'm also noticing high schoolers. I have a cousin I had lunch with today who's 16. He will turn 18 in October of 2020. He's anxious to vote, and he's a no-party preference, or that's what he was planning to register as until I talked to him today, and he changed his mind. So I want to be sure that we do everything possible to get the word out so that everyone knows the situation and no one is left behind.
Thank you very much. Member Baraka?
Sure.
Nuances, Susan. If someone does decide to take their ballot that they got in the mail to the city hall and possibly do a conditional voter registration form, then they could potentially vote in that election, but it would be provisional.
I spoke to the Department of Elections a few weeks ago, and I might not have gone deep enough in that, but I think they can go to City Hall and re-register as a Democrat there and vote. But you're right, it might be provisional. I'll look more into that. Oh, one other thing, at the last new citizen swearing in, the number was 149 that re-registered that day.
Thank you. Great job. Thank you.
The only other quick thing I wanted to mention around voter registration is that I actually went to the DMV recently, and I paid particular attention to how they were asking about voter registration. And I found out it's somewhat of a misnomer that there are no party preferences. I had the opportunity to pick my party. I sent a few pictures to Han. I'm not sure where he is. I sent a few pictures to Han to reflect that. That was on Bell Street, San Francisco. I can't talk about all the other places around the state.
Great, thank you. So colleagues, we have an amended resolution before you. Can we have a motion to approve? Okay, motion by Galata, second by Member Souza. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? It passes unanimously. And just for the record, I want to note that Member Megan Levitan is here by proxy. I am her proxy. And we also have Senator Feinstein, who's also here by proxy. That's Daryl Carlson. So we'll now move on to item number 8, which is a resolution in support of a fair and equitable contract for City and County of San Francisco employees. This is a resolution that was put forward by Member Shea, Francis Shea, and also Member Galata, and I know a number of us are co-sponsors. And you know, this is a very important resolution, and this is an opportunity for us as a body to really speak very clearly about where we are on the importance of paying workers, city workers, as they go through the negotiation process. So I'll turn it over to Member Galata. Do you want to say anything? Oh, okay, Member Alexander, I'm sorry.
Sorry, it was miscommunication. My name is Sylvia. You know, I think I can't say anything better than the workers themselves who came today to talk about the important services that they provide, that we provide. I am myself a city worker, as a couple of us are. You know, I think when we think about the city, we oftentimes think of it in terms of services, but people deliver those services. And San Francisco City and County continues to be one of the largest employers of middle-class jobs. Over 2/3 of those members, of those workers, are women and people of color. So when we think about where do folks go to actually get paid decent wages, you know, where are the entryways into the middle class for, you know, for women and people of color? It really is the public sector. And this is true nationally, not just here in San Francisco. That doesn't mean we don't still have challenges, but the unions have equity proposals as well as wage proposals. And you know, I think this is a relatively mild resolution, but I'm hoping that we can pass it unanimously.
Great. Any other comments? Yes, Member Bryant and then Member Brock.
I would just like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Great.
And I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor as well. And just to say, in the 5.5 years I've been with the city, I know there's a lot of people in my agency that once were city, were born and raised in San Francisco natives who have been priced out and really, really want to come back. So I am strongly supporting this and want to be here.
And then I think member De Jesus also wants to be added as a co-sponsor, and Gupta and Mahogany as well. And the one thing that I would note is that just to our executive director, if this passes, to make sure that we send a copy to the clerk of the Board of Supervisors, letting them know that this passed. So with that, can we have a motion to approve? Motion by De Jesus, second by Gupta. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Cohen abstains. And we note that we also have member Ting, who's here by proxy by, is it Marks or called Warren? Yeah, great. And again, we want a copy of this resolution sent to the clerk of the Board of Supervisors.
Chair Compa, sorry, one moment. Is it also possible for us, can I make a motion that we support the rally on, I believe, April 11th, that some of the folks mentioned during public comment, if the party can, we can move to support that rally and attend.
So we have a motion, second by Sousa. Can we take that without objection? Without objection. Great, thank you. And thank you again to the workers who came to speak to us, and hopefully you're watching and saw that the resolution passed. Number 9, resolution to extend Democratic Party membership to non-citizens, and that's something that Member Sousa has taken the lead. I'm happy to co-sponsor along with Member De Jesus.
Hi, good evening. I'm beyond excited to introduce this resolution as a DACA recipient myself. I think it's important, for us, California, to empower immigrants to have full membership to the State Democratic Party. The DNC has already taken action to include immigrants. California is actually behind. Just want to reiterate that immigrants are important in voter turnout and education. We make sure that voters show up and vote for the Democratic Party. I myself am a proud Democrat, and so I urge everyone to support this resolution and call upon our elected representatives in the state party to create secure means for non-citizens to register as recognized preference with the California Democratic Party.
Great, thank you very much. And one observation with respect to the upcoming convention is that one of the things that we're asking the chair of the party, of the state party, to do is to have a place for Member Sousa, because under the bylaws right now, the only role she can have is to be an observer. We believe that she should have an opportunity to do more than just observe. And one of the things that we will be doing is introducing a resolution to change the bylaws of the state party to reflect our bylaws, which allow non-citizens, DACA recipients, and others to be full participants and members of the party. So we'll keep you posted on that. Hope to hear from her very soon. Member Kelly?
Yes, there is a rules committee, and there is a way.
You just the mic, because there are people on the internet.
There is a rules committee, and there is a place to put a bylaws change. If you would like, I will get that bylaws change done for you. I think we should start that right now. We can have a resolution too, but we want a bylaws change. I'm working on a bylaws change on the ADEMS. We should work on the bylaws change, and I will help you do it.
Thank you, Penny. I think we work with our executive director who's leading that effort. So if we could have any more comments? Yes, Member Ting.
So, although Assemblymember Ting supports this in concept, but because we anticipate this will be state legislation, we're going to abstain this evening.
Okay, thank you. Member Bryan?
I just want to add
So, member, yes, Jen, do you want to, Jen, thank you. Lowe? So Lowe wants to be added. Anyone else? Okay, Alexander, Bryan. Okay, anyone else? Okay, you're an officer of the Latino Democratic Club, so you want to, where's the other mic?
Actually, Mr. Chair, thank you so much. I'm an associate member as president of the District 11 Democratic Club now.
Oh, okay, great.
So I just wanted to thank Member Sousa for her leadership on this and acknowledge some of the precedents that have happened from this. And thanks to you, Mr. Chair, for appointing Member Sousa. A lot of this also happened through the spirit of Ricardo Lara, who introduced Senate Bill 173 to allow non-citizens to serve on state boards and commissions. And this was passed at the Chicano Latino Caucus of the California Democratic Party. And so I know that many of us delegates hope to introduce this with Member Sousa, not just for the bylaws and the Rules Committee, but also for changing the election code to allow this. So thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Any other comments? So if we can have a motion to approve this resolution. Member Lowe, second by Member Bryant. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So Cohen, Ting, and Kolonakis abstain, and Feinstein abstains as well. So it passes. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Now, item number 10, which is resolution in support of the Medicare for All Act, HR 1384. Member Brock.
I'm going to make this pretty quick because, well, I'm going to try. I know it's late. I want to first thank Carolyn Browden for bringing this. She's with the National Nurses United. I'd also like to thank our Honorable Congresswoman Spear for co-sponsoring 1384, as well as 24 other members of the California delegation. There are over actually 100 representatives supporting this. It is certainly something that I support as a firefighter. I have been to, and I can't even tell you how many folks have looked at me and says, but Keith, how am I going to pay for this? And we were talking about people with severe injuries. One I remember, this guy's leg was broken in a couple of different places. It was heartbreaking. The fact that the world's wealthiest nation doesn't have a national health care program so people don't have to worry about that. It's the number one reason why people file bankruptcy is because of health-related issues. This should not be. I would like to direct your attention to a QR code that I have for you. It goes over our platform. Yes, you can scan it with your camera phone. And I think on Android you have to have the actual QR reader. But those articles on there, including the full bill, will describe in great detail what this awesome bill will do. And there's also an article written why seniors should support this. And there's also a great article on why we should do this because it's actually cheaper than the ACA. And with the president right now stating to, talking about getting rid of the ACA and kicking 20 million people off of health care or having access to health care completely fell. So with that, I hope you can support this resolution. Thank you.
Colleagues, any comments or questions? If not, can we have a motion to approve the resolution? Motion by Sousa, seconded by Gawada. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? No. Any abstentions? Feinstein, Kolonakis, anyone else? Cohen? So it passes. Thank you very much. Number 11, resolution condemning Title 10 restrictions, the domestic gag rule, and this is something that Member Gupta has brought forward with Francis Shea, Groff, De Jesus, and I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor too.
Thank you, Chair Campos. So Title 10, currently, for those of you who don't know, it's the only federal grant program that's dedicated solely to providing funding for sexual and reproductive health services. And currently, it's under attack by our administration. They recently, at the beginning of the month, passed rules that would deny the opportunity. So currently, there is regulations in place where no funding can go from family planning clinics towards the provision of abortions. These rules now include that patients have to be denied even information on or referral for abortion, and they require that all pregnant patients would have to be referred for prenatal care, irrespective of what their desires are for the pregnancy. And California currently serves 25% of all Title 10 patients nationwide, so it's over about 1 million low-income individuals each year are served by Title 10 clinics. So this resolution is essentially condemning these regulations and restrictions that are passed on Title 10, and they currently are in a lawsuit that our Attorney General Javier Becerra has introduced, so it's also supporting this lawsuit against these restrictions too. So I appreciate your consideration and support to condemn these regulations.
Thank you very much, and I know that Member Spear, Congresswoman Spear, wants to be added as a co-sponsor. It's really important to do that. Member Lowe as well, Member Sousa, and also she wants to be added as a co-sponsor of item number 10 as well, Member Sousa. So colleagues, any other comments or questions? And thank you again, Dr. Gupta, for bringing this forward. You have, yes.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta, for your perspective on it. The one thing that you probably didn't mention, if I was hearing everything, was that this isn't just about a gag order about a woman's right to choose. It's also about a broader movement in America to ban birth control. I mean, it's really important that people sit up and listen. This is not just about abortion, it's about family planning. And this is the whole ball of wax. It starts with ending free speech about health choices, and it just keeps going and going and going until finally we've rolled back the clock to a time when family planning was actually illegal in many states. So thank you very much for bringing this forward.
Yeah, thank you so much for that clarification, Member Spear, Brian. Exactly, I think it's really in the medical community something that we've foreseen, and that's why it's kind of colloquially called the domestic gag rule, because for us as medical providers, we'd really be limited to what we could talk to about with a patient, and there'd be mandates on what we must talk to a patient about and what we could actually, which is, and it's, limiting their access to medically accurate information too. So it's exactly what we don't, nobody comes to their clinician thinking that people come wanting the full information, medically accurate information, and trusting our expertise. And so.
Thank you very much. We have a motion to approve. Motion by De Jesus, seconded by Sousa. All those in favor? You had a question?
Yes, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Okay, so Baraka wants to be added as a co-sponsor too. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Cohen abstains. It passes. Thank you very much again for bringing this forward. Item number 12, which is a resolution supporting State Senate Bill 233 to establish protections for sex workers when reporting a crime. This has been brought forward by Member Galata, Member Wiener, Gupta, Baraka, Francis Shea, Groff, and I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor as well. And Bryant and Sousa as well. Thank you. Member Galata.
Thank you, Chair Campos. I just want to start out by thanking Maxine Dugan from the Erotic Services Providers Union, who's here tonight and who brought this resolution forward. Thank you, Maxine, for all of your work and your advocacy. I think it's really exciting to see that we're able to move this bill forward. I want to thank Senator Wiener for his leadership and his office's work on this, and also for his willingness to co-sponsor this resolution in support tonight. I mean, sex workers experience violent crimes at a disproportionately high rate, and those most impacted are women of color and trans women. And so this is really the first step, I think, for us to, in an effort to really decriminalize sex work here in California. So I'm excited to see this bill move forward. I thank again Senator Wiener for his work on this and for my colleagues for their support.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? So any other co-sponsors besides the ones that I mentioned earlier? De Jesus wants to be added. Anyone else? Yes, Mahogany and Bryant. Okay, great. If we can have a motion to approve the resolution. Motion by Dr. Gupta, seconded by Member Baraka. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So Feinstein, Tig, and Kounalakis. It passes. Thank you very much for bringing this forward, Leader and Senator Wiener. Item number 13, which is resolution in support of congressional hearings and possible sanctions against the Sudanese government, and that's been brought by Member Alexander. Member Alexander.
Thank you. So as you heard today from several members of the Sudanese American community, I was approached by some of these folks who are really trying to lift up what is happening in the Sudan. There's a media blackout. They're just trying to raise awareness and education. I want to be clear what they're not asking for. They're not asking for sanctions against the state of Sudan. So this is not, they're asking for military action. They're asking for, let me back up. I think folks are relatively familiar with the human rights abuses of the Sudanese government. President Omar al-Bashir is wanted by the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity. The parliament passed suspension of the Constitution in order to allow him to become dictator for life in order to avoid being prosecuted in international criminal courts. In the last 13 weeks, there have been peaceful protests calling for the Constitution to be reinstated, and as a result, there have been a lot of terrible crimes against the people who are staging these peaceful protests. And so they're asking for us to call for congressional hearings or support their call for congressional hearings and actions to be taken against the families in the regime. And so that is what they're asking for. And that we would then bring this to the California Democratic Party in lieu of there being very much national discussion on this very serious issue.
Thank you very much, and I know we had a number of speakers on this. Colleagues, anyone else who would like to speak on this? We can have, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor. We can have a motion. Motion by Sousa, second by Bryant. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, Feinstein, Kounalakis, and Chu abstain. It passes. Thank you, Member Alexander, for bringing this forward. Item number 14, which is a resolution calling for more rent subsidies for supportive housing residents. And this is a matter that was brought forward by Member Groth, and I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor as well. And I know we had a number of speakers. And Member Bryant, Lowe, De Jesus, Gupta, Sousa would like to be added, and Mahogany would like to be added as co-sponsors. Member Groth.
Thank you for reading for me while I multitask. And thank you to Jordan Davis, who brought this resolution forward. She was here earlier. She lives in supportive housing and pays over 30% of her income and on rent, which I know is already a struggle for most people who live in San Francisco. And the fact that we have people on supportive services who already maybe struggle to either get a paycheck or pay for groceries and rent. The fact that they have to pay, I think I was hearing up to 80% of their paycheck to be able to afford to live in the city. And when we're seeing so many people on the street and we're trying to get people into homes, and this is one of the ways to get people off the streets and into permanent housing, and they still have to pay 80% of their income, it's atrocious. So gladly welcome any support.
Colleagues, any other comments? And I simply want to add my 2 cents. I mean, the whole point of supportive housing is to allow people to be able to live in San Francisco. And when someone is spending 80% of their income on that housing, it's just, I don't know how they can live here. It's just not tenable. And so I think this is a very important piece as the cost of living in San Francisco, where we just saw, by the way, the numbers that a one-bedroom in San Francisco is the most expensive in the country, $3,700. We need to do this. So thank you for bringing it forward, Member Groth. And Member Alexander would like to add a couple of points.
Thanks. I just wanted to say I think that this is a really important start, and I think that one of the city needs to adopt this as a blanket policy for all of its affordable housing. It's not just in this particular program, but in family housing, in the way that the city puts money together, especially with the federal low-income tax credit program, where they, which are used for most of the affordable housing for families, where families are also paying 80%, 90% of their rent, literally having people who don't live with them, helping them get by, having cousins and friends like help them with their rent because it's completely unaffordable, or piling like subsidies on top of other subsidized housing. That the model for affordable housing needs to be to make that housing actually affordable, and that needs to be the city's become the city's policy. And so I support this resolution, but I also think that this needs to become the blanket statement and the blanket structure for affordable housing in San Francisco as a 30% standard. And I think Member Groth and I are going to bring such a resolution next month.
Thank you very much. And I don't see her in the audience, but I know Jordan Davis was someone who was pushing for this. So thank you, Jordan, if you're watching us. It's important for us to hear from folks who are being impacted by these policies. So can we have a motion to approve the resolution? Motion by Sousa, seconded by Lacroix. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Kunalakas, Feinstein. It passes. Oh, and Cohen as well. It passes. So thank you very much, Member Groth, for moving forward. And now we're going to go on to item 15, and this is something that I'm proud to bring forward. I also want to thank Member Galata for being a co-sponsor. But look, if you look at sort of why California is where it is on a number of factors, like per pupil spending as an example, you know, it all goes back to Prop 13, and many folks have been pushing for Prop 13 reform, which in many respects has become the rail in California politics. And what we have here is a measure that has qualified for the ballot. It's the Schools and Local Communities Funding Act, which will be on the ballot in November of 2020. And what this does is in a very thoughtful and strategic way. It doesn't try to get rid of all of Prop 13, but it actually tries to address the gap with respect to commercial property and property taxes. Because what we have seen, and there's been studies done by academic researchers, USC as an example, that if you reassess commercial property taxes in California, you will bring about $11.4 billion in property taxes to cities, counties. And I can tell you, as someone who has been a supervisor in San Francisco and worked for Santa Clara County, local governments need that. And what's so remarkable about this is that 80% of the revenue will actually come from just 8% of large properties. So this is not going to have an impact on small businesses. This is targeting large investors. And I think that, you know, sure, 2020, the presidential race is one of the most, is probably the most, is the most important thing we'll have in the ballot. But this is up there in terms of the future of this state. This is up there in terms of its importance. So I'm very proud to bring it forward. You know, I know that we had a number of speakers who were here earlier, so thank you for being here. Pierre, do you want to add anything? Yes, Member Bryant. So if you want to co-sponsor, please raise your hand. So Member Brockman, Alexander, Baraka, Mahogany, Lowe, Lacroix, Chan, Gupta, Jesus, Sousa. So can we have a motion to approve? Motion by Bryant, seconded by Chan. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Kanalakis, Cohen, and Feinstein. It passes. Congratulations. We are on record as supporting this ballot measure, so now we can advocate the State Democratic Party for it. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the next item, which is item 17, which is a resolution in support of protecting renters from excessive rent increases and arbitrary evictions and supporting rent control. And this is something that was brought forward by member Alexander with co-sponsorships from Campos, Galata, Francis Shea, Brian Groff. Member Alexander.
We've been talking a lot about the unaffordability of San Francisco, so we won't go too far into that tonight. But this is important because this is about allowing local jurisdictions to include in their rent stabilization laws rental units that are older than 10 years and single-family units, except those owned by small landlords with 2 or fewer units. It also supports eliminating arbitrary evictions and requires landlords to specify the reason for the eviction. This also supports a maximum percentage of rent increases, protecting tenants from huge increases with the idea of kicking them out of their homes, while preserving the ability for landlords to make a fair return on their investment and on their landlord business, while protecting the tenants. This is Costa Hawkins redo. And so, have any questions? I hope we can pass this unanimously.
Colleagues, any comments or questions about this? Yes, member Chu. Can we pass the mic? Peter? Thank you.
David, just wanted to say thank you to the committee for bringing forward issues on this matter, as he is actively working on these issues, has legislation going forward right now, very relevant to this. So thank you very much to the committee.
Great. Thank you very much. Member De Jesus wants to be added as a co-sponsor. Anyone else? Member Sousa? Great. And Member Lowe and Lacroix. Can we have a motion? Motion by Sousa, seconded by Alexander. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Kolomakis and Cohen.
Ting.
And Ting. And Feinstein. Thank you very much. It passes. Thank you for bringing it forward, Member Alexander. Now we'll move on to item 18, which is new business. Is there any event or people want to announce? Well, I guess that's a possibility, a question of, yes, Member Ting? Sorry? Announcement. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, have flyers for anyone interested, but Assembly Members Ting and Chu and Senator Weiner are holding a joint town hall on Saturday, April 6th at 11 a.m. at Hastings on McAllister. If anyone's interested, it's on all our websites, and I'll pass around flyers. We'd love to see you there.
Great. And the one item that Member Gupta has requested is that we put on the agenda for next meeting the option of voting for the party chair and recommending taking a position on that or not. So that will be an item that will be added. Anything else? So the last item then is something that we approve, which is to adjourn the meeting in the memory of Francisco Shea. And I will open the floor also to any of my colleagues who want to say something. I know that one of our members, our secretary, Francis Shea, could not be here because, Francisco, her father, just passed. And, anytime that something like that happens to one of our members, of course, our hearts go out to them. And I think Francis has heard from a lot of us who have expressed our condolences and sent a lot of love and appreciation. And I cannot imagine what it is like to lose a parent. Francisco wasn't just Francis Shea's father, though. He was so much more than that in terms of his contributions to this city. It's really hard to imagine San Francisco without Francisco. And I was looking up a little bit about him and his work, and of course he has been a presence in San Francisco politics, certainly in the Chinese American community, but really throughout the city. He was a commissioner in the city. He actually also was a commissioner at the state level, looking at international trade and especially focusing on the relationship with China. But as a young person starting politics, when I first met Francisco, he was someone who was so open and willing to help you and talk to you about his experience, right? And it was just such an incredible thing, you know, his openness and his big heart, and that's what I think of him, his big heart. Our hearts really go out to Francis and the entire Shea family. Colleagues, anyone want to add anything? I don't think that anyone can compete with Francisco in terms of being best dressed. Absolutely, and truly a class act. Member Kelly.
What always stays with me about this gentle man was his smile. If you look on the Facebook page of him holding his daughter Frances, the smile he had on his face looking at her when she was first born was the smile that he gave to everybody every time you saw him. And it kind of lit up the whole room. So his smile was a gift.
Anyone else? Yes, Dr. Gupta.
I also just want to commend Francisco, Mr. Shea. He was just a relentless political volunteer, and I think he should really be commended and recognized when we, when you're campaigning, every bus, you go from one bus stop, and there he is handing out flyers, and then you go, wasn't he just at the other? And he's just amazing, and I think he was tireless, committed, and we can all see now where Francis gets it from too. And he was just a wonderful soul and lots of true political volunteer that will be missed.
Well, one thing apropos that I think we should consider as we move to prepare our annual dinner, is that maybe we do create an award, the Francisco Shea Award for Volunteer of the Year. I think that's only appropriate. So rest in peace, Francisco Shea. So if we can have a motion to adjourn the meeting in the memory of Francisco Shea. So moved by Dr. Gupta, seconded by Member Chan. All those in favor say aye. Aye. I think it's by acclamation. So meeting is adjourned in his memory.